Get ready to hop aboard one of the world's great railway journeys, the Ghan. In today's video, we're beginning in the centre of Australia, Alice Springs, and heading to Darwin, in Australia's top end. If you haven't seen part 1, the trip from Adelaide, I'll leave the link in the description below. On this leg of the journey, we'll be travelling 1,420 kilometres, taking just over 23 hours, including a stop in Katherine to visit the Gorge. Today's train has 36 carriages and stretches 902 metres. We'll be hauled by these two NR class engines, which have a maximum speed of 115 kilometres per hour. According to the little guidebook provided to passengers, these locos cost $100,000 to operate from Adelaide to Darwin and return. Today's train has 197 passengers who are being looked after by 42 crew. Entertainment is provided for guests before we board. Hi. So it's a week after my previous video from Adelaide to Alice Springs, and I'm back on the train ready for the next portion of my journey to Darwin. In a different cabin to last time, a different carriage. The design is more or less the same, except this is, I think, an older carriage. So you can see that it has a wood finish, still has the same amenities fundamentally. See, here we have the seat, which has foldable armrests, if that's what you'd like. There's obviously a second bed there, which they pull down if you have two people in the cabin, but as it's just me, they will just pull down this one to reveal the bed. There's a little table. There's obviously a window with a blind, and we've got a bin in here, a little bit of a storage area there. In here is a place where you can hang clothes. There's also a safe. It's not the best location, given the table's there, so you have to fold away the table if you want to open that completely. And here's the bathroom, the ensuite. We have a toilet, a shower, and a mirror and a vanity. All you really need, essentially. Also get a bottle of water, some hand sanitizer, and some information about the journey, including about the off-train excursions, which are included in the fare. So before I boarded, I was given a little card with my dining times. So dinner at 7:30, breakfast at 7:30, and then lunch at 2 o'clock tomorrow afternoon. Also, you're given options for off-train excursions in Katherine, so I've chosen the Gorge cruise. And we're off, departing Alice Springs on time at 6:15. So we're now just a couple of minutes out of Alice Springs, and the scenery already looks like this. The idea of a transcontinental railway linking Adelaide with the top end was first suggested in 1858, but it wasn't until 2004 that it became a reality, with the opening of the missing link between Alice Springs and Darwin. There are 5 railways, all built at different times, that make up the overall route the Ghan now takes. It's hard to beat the experience of enjoying a glass of sparkling wine in the lounge car while watching the scenery roll by and the sun set. There's a moving map on a TV in the lounge so you can track the train's progress. There are 3 Outback Explorer lounge cars on this train, each named after a pioneer who explored Australia's interior. This car is named after John McDowell Stewart, who embarked on several attempts to cross Australia south to north before finally succeeding in 1862. So I've just been to the lounge car for a quick drink, and now I've returned to my cabin to freshen up for dinner, and my bed has been turned down already. Hopefully this section of the journey is a little bit smoother than the journey from Adelaide to Alice Springs, which during the night the cabin moved a lot, so it was really hard to sleep. I'm hoping that this section of track, a lot more recent track, that it'll be smoother and therefore easier to sleep. Fingers crossed. The menu options on the Ghan are wonderful, with lots of local cuisine. I chose the grilled crocodile tail fillet for entree, the grilled saltwater barramundi as my main, and finishing with chocolate praline mousse gâteau. Decadent, but delicious. Good morning. It's 6:45 AM. Time to get ready for breakfast at 7:30. The scenery is getting greener as we inch towards the tropical north. Don't you love it when you know someone else is going to make your bed? And here's breakfast. Muesli with macadamias, followed by egg, potatoes and chorizo with toast and jam and a coffee. We're now approaching Katherine, where we'll have a stop and get off and go on a tour of the Gorge. So in terms of sleep, it's slightly easier to sleep on the section of track between Alice Springs and Darwin because it's a much more recent track, so it's in better condition. There's less jolts and bumps during the night. Although I have to say I still woke up a lot of times. It wasn't perfect. Nitmiluk Gorge comprises 13 gorges carved through ancient sandstone by the Katherine River. We'll explore the first 2 gorges on this boat tour. The waters of Katherine River begin in Kakadu, 150 kilometres northeast of here. Nitmiluk is the local Aboriginal term for cicada place. If you listen closely, you might be able to hear why.
The creamy sort of off-white colour, and you can see a fair bit of that around the place. All the reds and the oranges are from oxidisation, so even though it's a really hard sandstone, it is still porous, so it soaks up moisture. Now, it also turns out to be a pretty amazing corner of the river for some photos, so just coming up on our left-hand side is probably the most photographed part of Katherine Gorge. Now, as we head back down here, I'm not really going to say too much, just let you guys sit back and enjoy the gorge for what it is. When we get back down a bit further down the first gorge, I've got a few more things to point out to you.
Because the train is so long, just over 900 metres, there are electric people movers available to help passengers who need assistance to reach their carriage. The average age of passengers is on the older side. The Ghan is certainly popular with retirees. And it's time to hop back aboard. From this point, it's about 4.5 hours to Darwin. Here's how the rest of our day looks. I'll head to the dining car soon for lunch. For lunch, I chose the grilled tropical chicken salad with mango. Followed by the mango parfait. In my book, there's no such thing as too much mango. The Ghan operates once per week in each direction from February to November, but does not normally operate in December and January, which is part of the wet season in Darwin. An extra weekly service operates between June and August, which is the dry season in the top end, so peak season. So we're now approaching Darwin in the far north of Australia after approximately just under 24 hours aboard the Ghan from Alice Springs, including a 4-hour stop in Katherine for a bit of an excursion to see Katherine Gorge. You may notice that the environment is now getting a bit more tropical, a bit wetter, as is the climate in the north of Australia. It's been a very enjoyable trip, very good service, you can drink all you like, they feed you very well, very high quality produce, a lot of sort of local flavours, like you can try crocodile, mango, local food, local dishes. So it's really enjoyable. It's been a really great journey. Sad that it's coming to an end, but looking forward to seeing Darwin for my first time. So I definitely would recommend travelling on the Ghan from Adelaide to Darwin, and I definitely recommend a week stopover in Alice Springs to see what the centre of Australia has to offer. Uluru, Kings Canyon, Katajuta, amazing, really worth seeing. The top end has two main seasons, the wet and the dry, but in October it's known as the build-up, and you can sort of see why. We're now approaching Adelaide River, just over 100 kilometres from our destination. Adelaide River Railway Station has seen better days. This is how it looked in 2009. This narrow gauge railway was once part of a 500 kilometre line heading south from Darwin. It was envisaged to be part of the North-South Transcontinental Railway, but was closed in 1976 after iron ore traffic from a local mine stopped. This railway bridge dates from 1888 and was sometimes fitted with timber decking to allow cars to cross during the wet season. There's time for a final drink in the lounge before our arrival. Elizabeth River flows into Darwin Harbour and means we're on the outskirts of Darwin.
Have all of your belongings. If you do have checked-in luggage, your bags will be available to collect at the front of the terminal upon arrival.
The railway line ends in Berrimah, an industrial area near Darwin's main port. It's time to say goodbye to this impressive train. It's hard to think of many things to criticise about this trip. It's undeniably expensive and sleeping is a challenge. And ideally, the Darwin station would be closer to town, but I'm really nitpicking here. Overall, there's no question that the Ghan lives up to the title of one of the world's great railway journeys. I loved it. The railway station is about 18 kilometres from Darwin city centre, so coaches will take us into town. If you enjoyed this video, please hit the like button and click the little bell icon to be notified about my next video. Hope to see you again soon.